Welcome back, family. It is She Fights for Joy. Today is Sunday, March 14th. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Another day is on the way. Gotta find the strength to face the fray. Through the highs and all the lows, she fights. She fights for joy. She fights. She fights for joy.
So glad that y'all are back. I am super excited about today's lesson on today. This is episode 3, She Fights for Joy podcast. Broken Images Part 2. Now, last week I started off a segment on Broken Images Part 1. So, if you have not listened to it, please go back and listen. Or let me just give you a quick recap on what we talked about. So, hang tight, listen to the recap, and I'll be right back.
So, when you think about a broken image, you can think about your own brokenness. And I know that's probably what you're thinking about now, or what somebody has done to you to make you become that. And that feeling, it grips you throughout your life, because sometimes we give away things to people that we can never give back. For example, virginity. I can never get my virginity back, no matter what. Sometimes it could be trust. People lose your trust. People lose that disappointment. But I have come to find out that love does mean suffering. And I know no one wants to put those two together or align those two together, but that's what it means. You women, you see, one was broken and one was willing to suffer. She was willing to give up her baby to keep that baby alive, but she was also willing to suffer. Love and suffering. But what did you learn about the other lady? You had to learn that, of course, it was an accident. She didn't mean to kill her baby, but she made this decision out of fear, out of sadness, out of jealousy. She was broken. She was hurt. And sometimes hurt people go to healthy people to make them hurt too. So,
did y'all like that? That was a good, kickoff for me to talk about broken images. So let's go ahead and go into this episode on today. My name is Kenise B. This is a She Fights for Joy podcast. And if you don't know me, I am a writer. So my bestseller, I do have a book called Broken Images. If you'd like to support, you can go onto Amazon.com, Target.com, Books A Million, or Barnes and Nobles. Also, if you want to support my movement of Fight for Joy, you can go and purchase my merch, and that is also on Amazon.com. So thank you all for your support, and thank y'all for listening. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we are living in a time that I call Olympic oppression. There's a lot of broken people that are out there, and there's also a lot of us that are actually choosing to stay and remain within our brokenness. And if you don't know what Olympic oppression means, I'll just give you a quick example. That's like saying that I could come to you and tell you something about something from my past that I've been through, rather if it was something that was traumatic to me, and instead of you actually recognizing my pain or recognizing what I just stated, you just go in trying to be relatable and be like, oh yeah, I also dealt with something like that. I went through this and went through this. We're not even carrying our communities anymore, carrying others anymore, because we are too busy trying to make sure that we also get seen as a victim, or we also get seen as broken as well. Now, I know that my God is married to the brokenhearted. And sometimes people feel the need that they need to be broken in order for God to use you. And I'm just here to disclaim that at all, which again goes back into my statement that I just stated about Olympic oppression. Like, we're choosing to be brokenness. And I know that this is a cycle. I've also did sessions on trauma, what trauma means, because I have been seeing a lot of people over pathologizing what trauma is. I've seen grown-ups, that are looking back on their childhood and calling it traumatized just because they had responsibilities at a certain point. And I had to describe and define what being traumatized mean, because there is certain levels of trauma. There is, the first level, which is like acute trauma, meaning, you went through something like a robbery or something very small. And then there's, chronicle trauma, where it went above and beyond, like domestic violence. And then you get all into the complex traumas of abuse and child neglect and, childhood, foster homes and being sexually assaulted. So there is different levels of what we call trauma, but there's also different levels in how you can go from glory to glory to glory, or transformation to transformation to transformation. And so I am seeing a lot of people wanting to relate to other people's pain, with we're not even acknowledging having empathy or sympathy for other people. We're actually in a state of mind called apathy, meaning I'm kind of blocking out every feeling and every emotion because I want you to focus on my brokenness and not your own. And that all falls into line with the story that I'm about to get ready to present to you on today. But my third point is some of us need a purpose, because needing a purpose gives you a will to live. And it also gives you a will to step out of your brokenness versus trying to stay in it. And if you don't have a purpose, then you'll fall for anything. You'll fall for anything for comfort. You'll lust for anything, because again, you don't know who you are, or what you want to do. We're stepping into a lot of things that God didn't design for us, because it's all a monetary gain, right? And we're looking at certain things just for the money. But I remember going to a conference long time ago. It was a women's purpose conference. And this has stuck with me, which is how my purpose and how I began to step out and branch out into different things. Because the woman that was the teacher of the course that I was taking, she said one thing that's been sticking with me for my life. She said, if money wasn't involved, would you still do it? That is your purpose. Because we like to take what we have, gift or spiritual talent, and we want to monetize those things. And that's it. And it stops from there. Not even realize that your purpose is always meant for someone else. It's never for you. Your goal, your gift, it's always meant for someone else, because that's what also builds the community, and that's what keeps the world going around and around. And we're living in times where selfishness has become the biggest marker. It's like, it's about me and it's about my family and that's it. And we stop that right there. And God is saying that I'm trying to give my people wisdom, because y'all need to learn how to discern what is your assignment and what is not your assignment. And so we're living in these times where I'm seeing people carrying things that they're not supposed to be carrying, being broken for too long. I'm telling you, all of this can be researched in your own Bible, where there is pain, there is hurt, and there is trauma. And then God allows them. He said there's a season for everything. There's a time for this. There's a time for cries. There's a time for grieving. There's a time for happiness. There's a time for joy. But he doesn't want you to stay in that too long. Because staying broken, it is destruction to your life and to anybody that is connected to you. Because your advice even becomes broken. Your opinions even becomes broken. And no one is allowed to enter into your heart without you feeling offended. And I touched base just a little bit on last week on how brokenness can make you feel shameful, make you feel guilty, and make you do things that you wouldn't want someone to do to you. And that's why being broken and staying broken is two different things. But that is what I'm going to talk about today. because you're not the only one that has been broken, but I'm going to show you how you can be broken, carrying demons, and still come out as marvelous and glorious that people can forget. Like, you can walk into your purpose, and whatever label or character that the society has deemed you as, that is what they will see. And they will forget all about what your walk in this life was really about. So let me go ahead and go into this. But before I do, I just want to make one more point, because I see a lot of times that everybody wants to be broken because they feel like that's the only time that God can use you. A lot of the ministers and pastors and people that have come to Christ, they do have sad, broken stories, and how God reached down and grabbed them from this or that or that. And sometimes people start choosing their own brokenness, not knowing that you're not even strong enough to go out there and choose and stay in your own brokenness. You can make some bad decisions and think, I'm strong enough to get up out of this, and you'll end up staying, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Because every single time that you sin, that is the further that you're getting out the way of God. Every single time. And there was this particular woman. She was from a town of Magdala, and it was a place known for being so morally bankrupt. And this was back in Romans times, where the Romans would go into different cities and they would cause nothing but corruption. They would destroy these cities. They would rape the women, try to enslave the men. And this particular woman, she did have a godless Jewish upbringing, a godly Jewish upbringing, but she slipped into debauchery. Now, debauchery means extreme indulgence in bodily pleasures, especially sexual pleasures. But it also means that it's bad or immoral behavior that involves sex, drugs, alcohol, and etc. So not only will she picked up sexual attempts, and it could have been because she may have gotten raped from a Roman soldier. That's traumatizing, and that will lead to other things. And that could have possibly happened. We don't fully know what the demons that she was battling with, but I could see that her demons was definitely some inner conditions. It could have been cravings. It could have been ignorance. It could have been fear, arrogance, desire, or ego, alcoholism. You know, she could have had PTSD. They didn't call it that back then, but they did give her a name, which was Lilith, and that was described as someone full of demons. But this woman, this particular woman, not only was she possessed with 7 demons, and I know all my Bible readers, y'all know exactly who I'm talking about, but there was a transformation that came within her life, within her brokenness. She was the first woman, when Jesus first started his mission, that he healed her. He seen her and he healed her. And from that day forward, she began to follow him. I call her the 13th disciple because she was one of his most devoted followers out of all. Her teachings were so divine. Her language was so bold. She stayed up under him, and not only did she learn, but there was a spiritual connection that she had within our Lord and Jesus, our Savior. And just to put some more dialogue on who she was, this lady name is Mary Magdalene. Now, not only was she the first that he healed, but she was also the first to see him resurrected. She was the woman that was known as the good news. Because when she seen him resurrected, he said, hey, go and tell my other disciples what you have seen, and I will meet y'all in Galilee. So she had to run and give the good news. Now, let me just get just a little bit deeper, because even though that I call her the 13th disciple, because she carried more knowledge than others, she was also known as the apostle of the apostles. I would call her one of the apostles. But in the alphabet from A through Z, 13 also is the letter M. 13 is also connected to the lunar cycles, which means that is the hidden months. You know, we have 12 months, but there's actually 13 months. We follow a different calendar. And not only that, but 13 equals a number of transformation, meaning that she was a threat. But this was not what we remember her by. We remember her by her being a prostitute. I mean, it's like she went from cast from a divine teacher to a prostitute, from barrier of wisdom to a symbol of sin, to divine visions, to the woman possessed by 7 demons. That's what we know about her. And how many of you can say, I have been characterized as well? How many of you have done something immoral, but that is how people know you? I don't care if it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. People remember, oh, that's the girl that can drink you up under the table, because that was me. That's what I was known for. I was the party. I can DJ, but I can drink you up under a table. Or someone that you'd be like, oh, that's Susan. She's the crackhead. Do y'all ever wonder why we tie people names to what they are, to what they've done, to their demons, or what they have done in their past, no matter what? You can remember that Susie over there. She used to sleep with everybody's husband. Yeah, that's Keisha. Yeah, that's the weed girl. She always got weed on her hand. We always judge people by the character of their bad, but you don't hear anyone judging you by the character of your good. By saying, oh yeah, that's Kenise. She's a writer. Oh yeah, that's Kenise. Oh, she's an amazing mom. Oh, that's Kenise. Oh, she's so serving. She's so grateful. You don't hear those, but people will always remember the bad of your character. And a lot of names in our Bible on today, you see that. Blind Bartimaeus. You know, we know Matthew as the tax collector versus actually knowing that Matthew wrote down every single thing that happened while he followed Jesus. This is what brokenness do. Because when you become broken, you eventually start looking onto other people's brokenness and naming it and calling it that. You're not looking at their brokenness to help them, to help edify them, or to get them to transformation. You actually done made a name for them. And I'm not going to lie, I can be guilty of it just as well. Because there is certain people that I know that's broken, but stay in their brokenness, and I have characterized their name for it. If anytime a specific name come up to me about that person, I'd be like, oh yeah, she's full of chaos. So whatever it is that you have to say, I don't want to hear it. Because mainly I see them. I see right through their spirits, their demons, and they don't like me. So either anytime I come into contact with that person, they've already disliked me before I can even say the word hi. Because I see that this is what they choose to do over and over and over again. And there is so many people. Now, men, I'm going to get to y'all in a second. Because I know that I have told y'all stories about women. And now I'm talking about Mary Magdalene. But I'm going to tell y'all about a man that was broken. And what he considered to do to himself over and over and over again. But we're going to get to that on my next podcast next Sunday, because I'm going to do a part 3 of Broken Images, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move to another episode. But I just want to get into your head on how you can continue to choose brokenness, and this is what people will remember you by. But all the good, all the divine visions and teachings, even after Jesus left, this woman had divine authority, which is something that we already have in us. But it took Jesus to get that up out of her, because her mind was so cluttered with demons that she would have never chosen to transform until she met the power of God. And so I am saying to you today to not continue to choose your brokenness, to not continue to choose to settle and say, this is what has happened to me and this is my name and I'm just going to dwell in it. No, you're not, because you can transform. And throughout this week, I want you to think about every single thing that you have went through in life and take that and find out how you can help someone else versus sitting in your own. This week, let's focus on breaking the chains of brokenness. Yes, God is married to the brokenhearted, but that doesn't mean that He wants you to stay broken or He wants you to continue to keep getting broken in order to enter into His presence. You can acknowledge that I have grown, I have matured, and there's another season that's out there waiting for me, but I can't even get to the next season because I'm too busy stuck in 10-year-old mess. This woman was known for having 7 demons. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think you want to battle 7 demons. And I relate to Mary Magdalene. I've always told people that are very new to reading the Word of God to go in there and to find a character that you can be relatable to, and you dive deep into that character. And that Mary Magdalene was for me because I know for a fact that I have picked up 7 demons in my past, that it didn't just stop with one. Trust me, demons like to have friends. They don't like to just mess with you one time. No. They like a house to reside in, and then they come and they bring their other friends. You know how like when you invite someone over to a party and then they call you and be like, hey, can I bring an extra person? Can I bring a +1 or a +2 or plus? That's what demons do. They see your issue, they see your weakness, and then they invite other friends. And before you know it, you're indulging into things that you didn't even know. You wouldn't even think about doing it. You know crack is bad, but you'll try it anyways because it's not you. And that's exactly what she done until she met a healer. He is not a healer. He is the healer. So this week, I want you to focus on releasing and surrendering, laying down your offense and surrendering it all. Focus on what capacity that you can hold and what capacity that you can't hold, and stop picking up other people's assignments. Stop picking up other people's things that is not assigned for you. You too busy trying to help everybody else, but you're not helping yourself. And I can preach this to myself because I love helping others. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I not only help others, but I also help myself. I go to therapy every single week. I lay on my face. I have an altar built in my closet. I am always making sure that my cup is full. Because if you begin to pour out too much without handling your brokenness, those demons will transfer into somebody else. They done had their fun with you. They ain't worried about you no more. You're stuck, you're broken, you're distorted. They're going to go and just move on to your child, or move on to your mother, or move on to your brother, or move on to your friend, or move on to your spouse. That's how they do. Until you empty out your house and say, you can no longer stay here and I will no longer be broken. Reading the story of Mary Magdalene and how they characterize her versus reading her divine devotional to Christ is so much more than what they called her. She is known as the apostle of the apostles. It doesn't mention her death or her latter life, but she was a deep devoter to Christ. And she lived in the Red Quarter after Jesus died and pretty much preached his word to the end. And this signals desperation. She was desperate for change, and she got that change. And on this week, I want you to be desperate too. I want you to go out there and get that change that you also deserve, and stop running the race of who's more oppressed. We are living in times right now that are crucial. These times are crucial right now. And we don't have time to be doing a rat race on trying to see who's more oppressed than the other. We need some empathizers out here, some sympathizers out here, some people that can actually listen to someone's brokenness and tell them that they can transform. So thank y'all so much for listening. I appreciate you all for your time. But this week, I just want to say, you go out there and be transformed. Now, next week, we're going to talk about self-care, because I noticed that sometimes people be like, I'm doing some self-care, and self-care can be selfishness and isolation, and that is not what God has said. So thank y'all for listening. This is As She Fights for Joy, and I hope y'all be with me on the next week, and I hope that this week you're going to go out there and not only transform yourself, but you're going to transform and renew your mind and say, I will no longer be broken, and no demon will be living in this house. God bless you all. I love you. Have a great day. No. Have a great week. She fights for joy.